Hello students, this video is going to talk about the reading to learn section. Today's topic we have the mangroves and the raining experiment. Firstly we talk about the mangroves. The first paragraph it talks about a description of the mangroves. Mangroves are trees and shrubs that grow in the coastal areas, so that's why there will be a low tide or high tide, okay, and then the soil, okay, in this area is waterlogged, okay, and then I will show you some picture to show you what is the description or how does it look like in the waterlogged soil. And once, okay, because it is waterlogged, so the soil is also poor aerated, okay, not that much air in the soil, but which kind of air, okay, we need to think about it. So this hinders the gases in the roots, okay. So for the root, of course, we talk about the respiration, okay, but not photosynthesis. So actually for this gases exchange, what gas, okay, we need and what gas we need to remove, okay. So that's the gas exchange, okay. Remember that, okay. Although we use just a simple word gases exchange, okay, in this part, but of course we need to think about, okay, what are the gases, okay, we talk about here. So for the mangroves, okay, to solve the problem of the gases exchange difficulties, so some of them will develop the aerial root, okay. So this root grows vertically up to the air above the soil, okay, from the underground root system. So you can see that they are the aerial root, okay. But somehow you need to think about it all. Once there is a high tide, okay, so some of the aerial root, okay, they may be covered, okay, they may be in the water finally, okay, but some of them, okay, may be, okay, still exposed to the air. So one point I would like to add that is the aerial root, okay, they have numerous lenticels, okay, on the surface. So remember that the lenticle, okay, is the air hole, okay, for the root to do the gases exchange, okay. So at high tide, okay, as I said before, part of the aerial root is still exposed to the air, so gases exchange can still be performed, okay. It can occur through the lenticle on this part of the aerial root, and then the gas, they can diffuse, okay, from the aerial root, okay, from to the underground root. So to facilitate the gases exchange, the root of the mangroves, okay, they have many air spaces, okay, which allow the fast transport of air, okay. So in the paragraph it talk about fast transport of air, but somehow we have learned a word diffusion, okay. Actually it can substitute this fast transport, okay, easily, okay. So that means many air spaces which allow gases or air diffusion from the aerial root to the underground root, okay. So not just for the root, okay, because firstly we talk about air space is in the leaf structure, okay. So you will know that not only the leaf but also maybe the root and the stem, okay, there are air spaces for the gas diffusion, okay. So for the question, question number 1, okay, so why does gases exchange not occur in the underground root of the mangroves at high tide? So I want you to recall the environment at high tide, okay. So just like in the first paragraph, okay, the soil is waterlogged, okay, just like in this picture, okay, full of water, okay, completely filled with water, okay. So for the water supply, perfect, but for the air, okay, for the gas, okay, what is the amount, okay, you need to tell me. So for this soil, okay, not that wet, okay, not that waterlogged, okay, of course they can retain some water, okay, but the point is that the air can easily diffuse into this kind of soil, okay. So in the ecosystem topic, okay, I shall prepare a video, okay, to talk about the different kind of soil, later. So at a high tide, the air spaces of in the soil are completely filled with water, okay, and then let's which gas available for the gases exchange in the root. So in these two picture, okay, the waterlogged soil, the not waterlogged soil. So which of them, okay, the air can easily diffuse into the soil for the root to do the gaseous exchange, okay? You tell me. And then for the question 2 from the article, state 2 adaptations of the root of the mangroves for gaseous exchange. So you can know that adaptation, okay, I talk about it for many times. Adaptation, structure, and functions. You need to link them up, okay? Not just talk about the structure, okay? You need to talk about how this structure, okay, how can the structures to help, okay, the organism to perform a certain type of function, okay? So state the 2 adaptations. So normally, okay, in this question there may be 4 marks, okay? So the question will become state and explain 2 adaptations of the roots for of mangroves for gaseous exchange, okay? So in this question I would like to cultivate your logical thinking, okay, to link them up, structure and functions, okay? So you need to mention the first specialized structure and then talk about how can this structure help in the gaseous exchange, okay? And then mention the second specialized structure and then talk about how can this structure facilitate the gaseous exchange, okay? So I give you the 2 structures, okay? The one, okay, specialized structure is that some mangrove species develop aerial root, okay? So don't just write down this sentence. I want you to tell me any significant, any important role of this structure to help in the gaseous exchange, okay, of the plant. So and then for the second one, okay, many air spaces in the aerial root, okay? So how can the air spaces help, okay, in the gaseous exchange, okay? You need to tell me. So and of course there are some hints in the paragraph, okay, but you need to tell me that once you see this word adaptation, don't just tell me the structure. If the question just want you to talk about the structure, and then the question will become state 2 structures, okay, but state 2 adaptations, okay, there's totally different questions, okay? So for the chapter 10, the raining experiment. So before, okay, the scientists, okay, or people, they don't know which part of the tissue, okay, which part of the plant, okay, is responsible for the transportation of the organic nutrients in the plant. But now, of course, we know that, okay, the phloem vessels, okay, is responsible for transporting organic nutrients, and the xylem vessels, okay, is responsible for transporting water and minerals, okay? So remember, don't be lazy. Do not just mention phloem vessel transport nutrients, but skip the word organic. And then xylem vessel also transport nutrients, okay? Don't be so tricky, because minerals is the inorganic nutrient, and the sugar or protein or amino acid, not protein, amino acid or carbohydrate or fat or lipids, they are organic nutrients, okay? So remember this word, okay, to state the type of the nutrients, okay? So in the experiment, okay, the scientists remove the ring of the bark from a tree, okay? So in this part, okay, it tells you this action, okay, remove the ring of the bark, just remove the phloem vessels, but not the xylem vessels, okay? You need to tell me the reason. And then a few weeks later, okay, the tissue just above the ring becomes swollen, okay, due to the accumulation of the sugar, and the leaves did not wither, but the part of the tree below the ring shriveled, okay? So finally, okay, the tree died, okay? So we can simply refer the paragraph to this picture, okay? Sugar accumulated just above the ring, okay? And then the tissue becomes swollen. These 2 circles, I would like to tell you this part, okay? Since the sugar accumulate in just above the ring, okay, because the sugar cannot be transported downwards, okay? So actually there are extra food, okay, accumulate just above the ring. So that's why the cells, okay, in this region, they can obtain more food, right? Okay, so that's why there is a extra growth, okay, just above the ring, okay, because in some MC question, okay, there are some different proposed explanation for you to choose. For example, okay, they may tell you that, because there are a large amount of water accumulate in this region, so this part become swollen, okay, so of course it's not correct, okay, the swollen, the cause of the swollen part, okay, is due to extra growth, okay. And then after several weeks, why the whole tree dies? Because the lower part of the tree shrivel, okay. Of course, below the ring, okay, there is a part of the stem, okay. But what I want to talk about is the root part, okay. Because once the root die, actually the whole plant will die, because the root is responsible for absorbing water and minerals, okay, especially water, okay. Water is very, very useful in the whole plant, so that is very crucial. For example, okay, for photosynthesis, for example, for transporting, for example, for the water is also a component of the cytoplasm, right? Okay, so refer to chapter 2. You will know the importance of the water. Okay, somehow water is also very important for the leaf. Okay, for the leaves. Okay, for the cells in the leaves. Okay, to become turgid. Okay, to become turgid, to become strict. Okay, and then absorb the light. Right. So. And then finally, the scientists repeat the experiment in winter. Okay, so in winter, the leaves of the tree had fallen. Okay, so this phenomenon is very important for you to answer the question. And finally, he found that, okay, the swelling was less permanent. Okay, not that obvious. Okay. So the swollen part, yes, we can see it, it's swollen, but the degree of the swollen is not that high. Okay, so for this paragraph, I would like to recall the importance of nature of science. Remember that, okay, science is tentative. Okay, something we prove is correct today, but somehow tomorrow it will become wrong. Okay, because another scientist will have some new findings, okay, or to prove that something is correct or wrong. Okay, so somehow this scientist, okay, it also repeats the experiment, okay, at different times, okay, to see that whether this theory, okay, whether this hypothesis is really correct. Okay, so remember that, okay, as we are studying a science subject, so we need to know the importance of the nature of science. Okay, let's talk about the questions in question 10. So with reference to the distribution of the xylem vessels and phloem vessels in the stem, so explain why it's possible to remove the phloem vessels by cutting away the ring of the bark, but without affecting the xylem vessels. Okay, so in this question, I want you to recall the distribution of the xylem and phloem vessels in the stem according to the diagram. Okay, so you can refer to the book. Okay, just take a look at the stems parts. Okay, so perhaps maybe next the other question, it will ask you about the root or the stem or the leaves. Okay, but in this question, focus on the stems part is okay. So remember that for the question, okay, it asks you why we can remove the phloem vessel but not the xylem vessels. Okay, so remember, you do not only mention why phloem vessel will be removed, but also why xylem vessel will not be removed. Okay, so therefore you need to mention both structures location, but not just tell me that the phloem vessels, okay, they are located at where. Okay, so they can be removed by the ringing, okay, of the bark. Okay, so but just omit, okay, or skip the part of the xylem vessels. Okay, so please tell me, okay, the location of both structures. Okay, so for question 2, okay, explain why sugar accumulated in the tissue just above, okay, just above the ring after a few weeks. Okay, so the first logic is that you need to tell me, okay, where does the sugar come from? Okay, so the sugar must be produced by the plant. Okay, so recall how the sugar is produced by the plant. So as we talk about how, okay, by a certain reaction in the leaves. Okay, so and then the sugar will be transported downwards along the xylem vessels, phloem vessels, okay, phloem vessels. So according to the paragraph, okay, so actually it's just a simple logic for you to think about it. We would like to transport the sugar downwards along the phloem vessels, okay, but can we do so? Okay, you need to tell me yes or no, and then why. Okay, don't just tell me yes or no. I need the reason. Okay, why you say that, or why we can or why we cannot. Okay, the sugar can or cannot be transported downwards. Okay, so of course you can get some hints from the question. If the sugar can be transported downwards, okay, downwards, that means transported below the ring. Okay, so somehow they will not be accumulate. Okay, but now the sugar accumulate, okay, in the tissue. So somehow you know that yes or no, you will know that, but I need the reason. Okay, so for question 3, we call the question 3, explain why the swelling of the stem was less prominent in winter. Okay, so we call the phenomenon mentioned in the question, in the paragraph. Okay, it talks about the falling leaves in the winter. So in this question, I want you to think about it. What will be the effect of falling leaves on the rate of photosynthesis, higher or lower? Okay, and then what will be the amount of sugar produced and transport down the stem? Okay, larger or smaller? Okay, so remember that we are not talking about sugar is produced or no sugar is produced. It's talking about the amount. Okay, because we are talking about the rate, higher or lower, okay, in winter. So of course in this question it focuses on the falling leaves, okay, but in winter there are also other environmental factors, okay, to affect the rate of the photosynthesis. For example, the temperature in winter, okay, for example, the light intensity, okay, in winter, or the duration of daytime in winter. Okay, it will also affect the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, so in this question it just mentioned one factor, but somehow there are any other factor for you to think about in the environment. Okay, so so in this question I hope you to know that, okay, how to express your answer in a logical way. Okay, so after talking about the raining experiment, I would like to talk about the application of the raining back of the tree. Somehow, okay, we do it in purpose, okay, or in accident. Okay, so there's this concept, okay, is called girdling. Okay, girdling, that means we cut away the bark of the tree, okay, by this raining method. Okay, so it will result in death of the tree, okay, above the girdle over time. Okay, so somehow if we do the girdle, okay, on the main trunk of the tree, okay, so somehow the entire tree will die, just like the case in the raining experiment shown in the diagram. Okay, and somehow the girdling can be used to create a standing dead wood. Okay, so that's why we do not need to cut the whole tree down. Okay, unless you would like to use the tree to make paper, okay, or to make the furniture, something like that. Okay, but somehow, okay, if we just want to kill it, okay, but we do not need to cut it down. Okay, so it can also still provide a valuable habitat, okay, for the animal, okay, for example the insects or the nesting birds. Okay, so somehow you can see that this method, okay, the ringing experiment, okay, of course, it can help us, okay, to know that, which part of the plant is responsible for transporting organic nutrients, okay, but also, okay, this method, okay, the ringing of the bark or the girdling, okay, can be a way, okay, to do some practice in our daily life, okay. So I will show you a video, okay, after this part, okay. So I hope you can know more about the girdling, okay, in our application of biology in daily life, okay. So I hope this video can help you to do the question, okay, in the reading to learn and know more about how can we apply what we learned, okay, in our daily life. Okay, bye bye.